Well, a season of drought, ongoing forestry conversions on the East Coast, and simply easier cash flow in trading lambs than running breeding ewes has had a significant dent on our overall national ewe flock. Joining us now is Senior Sheep and Beef Analyst Suz Bremner from AgriHQ. Good evening out of Hawke's Bay, Suz.
Good evening, Sarah. Thanks for having me again.
Have you had some rain since last time we talked?
Oh, well, it was a while ago that we talked, so you'd hope so. Otherwise, we'd be in serious strife. But we did. We got, I think it was about a week and a half ago, we got 60 mil, which really threw us a lifeline.
That's good, and may it continue, even though we're going into the cooler weathers. Now, let's start off with this record at Temuka yesterday, 11,000 lambs through the Temuka sale yards. How did it go, and what sort of led to such large numbers?
Yeah, so that's a record June price in our AgriHQ data. That's store lambs. This time last year, or end of May, they had about 12,500. That was their record level of store land that they've had. And what is really driving that, and I had some really interesting conversations today with a couple of agents down there, they basically said that a whiff of winter brings out the lambs. And so the lambs that we saw came from Central Otago and Tekapo. And they are annual draft lines, but it's not like everyone gets together and goes, oh, let's target this particular Monday sale. It really is when that snow gets on those hills down there. If you'd probably know better than I would that the high country farmers, they need to focus more on their breeding stock, and so they ship their lambs off. Obviously, it's not finishing country, and they need to get those lambs down to the lower country. So yes, yesterday at Temuka, there was 11,500. 3,800 of those were one consignment from Tekapo. And yeah, they had a great day. Lots of optimism in the market. Those lambs always bring out the regular buyers that will take them down onto the lowlands. And because a lot of those lambs probably haven't really seen a nice lush blade of green grass, they certainly get down onto the lower country and finish really well. And the high volume as well just brought the buyers in.
Yeah, hopefully it dries out for the feet of those merinos. Now we opened up talking about breeding ewes. We're going to come back to lambs. We're just jumping around all over the show. However, early scanning results in the North Island are leading to this decline over time of our breeding ewe flock, which is worrying, and a lot of people just getting sick of, obviously, the admin of having ewes.
We've certainly moved from a country where we were known for our high numbers of ewes. So last year, beef and lamb, June 2019, breeding ewe flock was 26.7 million. I would be putting my money on it being lower. Obviously, we haven't got to end of June yet, so we don't have those figures, but we're sort of looking at three factors that are influencing that market, or the numbers, sorry. And as you mentioned before, we're still seeing the forestry conversion. A year ago, the Billion Trees policy was introduced, and lots of land then, breeding new land then was sold, and the ewes were sold, to follow on from that. That's still going on now, and just recently we've heard, particularly sort of around Hawke's Bay and some of the bigger countries, more of these farms, these big high country farms that basically run a lot of breeding ewes, they have been sold for forestry as well. So there is that factor influencing it. Of course, drought in many areas has meant that the farmers have sort of culled out the bottom end of their breeding ewes that they wouldn't generally be putting to the processors, but they're left with very little choice to do that, to be able to look after what they keep on farms. And then there is almost a generational shift to away from the breeding ewes and into fattening lambs. It's a lot easier time management. There's not so many factors such as your lambing and unproductive time. So, yeah, it's a real shame. As I say, we'll know June 2020, end of this month, what those breeding ewe numbers are looking like.
And so what are ewes fetching through the yards?
So what we've seen coming through, we have seen a lot of early standard lambs starting to trickle in, mainly through Hawke's and that because of the drought. But it is, at this time of year, we do see quite a few. One thing that I have noted is that we've seen a lot more run with ram lines. So they're lines that have been to the ram. They may well still have the ram with them, or they just simply haven't been scanned. Of course, scanning is an extra cost to farmers, and if their intention is to sell those ewes or they have to sell them, then they don't really want to have that extra cost. But what I am definitely seeing in the yards is a preference for scanned lines. And so while farmers haven't got the cost of the scanning, they may be hurting themselves in the pocket by those ewes not making as much as they would if they were scanned. So at the moment, our scanning results haven't been great. The dry has affected, I'm just talking North Island obviously because it's too early for the South Island. We would generally look at around 170 to 180% being an average scanning. We're looking at about 150 to 160% is quite common. And as you said earlier on, buddy that up with lower ewe numbers and we're not looking at a huge lamb crop, but we're getting a lot of medium condition ewes coming through, so they're sort of making around $130 to $160. Anything that is bigger, heavier ewes, younger, or even your 4 and 5 year olds, but the ones in good condition that are multiple scanned and a high scanning, around that 170 to 180, they have been getting up to around $200, which is great to see. Whether that will be maintained through the main flock, time will tell.
So what about these traders feeding lambs back into the market that they did intend on wintering?
Yeah, so at this time of year when we see a bit of a lift in the store lamb values, and we do have to remember that we did have lockdown when it wasn't easy trading through that. We've seen a high volume of lambs coming through, which is drawing a lot of buyers in. We've had the rain, which has really had a significant impact on prices, and with the prices coming up quite nicely. Sometimes there becomes a point where the prices are that good in the store market that we'll actually see traders return lambs to the sale yard. So they may have bought lambs in the paddock, or they may have picked them up at the sale yard. So the telling sign of that is when you get a line of lambs come in that have got different earmarks through it. So you know that they've been picked up from a number of different properties combined in, and then probably the top's drafted off and gone to the processors, and then we'll see some of the others coming in. But we are still seeing lambs, one earmark lines from properties. Since lockdown, Fielding has sold 55,000 lambs through these yards, and I think that's over 4 sales. So we're seeing massive volumes come out, but the prices they're holding up really, really well. So we're seeing heavy males in the North Island around $120 to $135, and good medium to good ewe lambs are sort of $75 to $105. At Temuka, those lambs that we talked about earlier, the heavy crypt orchids of those lines at $125 to $142, and medium good sets for $91 to $115. So you can sort of see why people might think, well, why not?
So is the lamb schedule driving a lot of the store market?
Oh, absolutely. So at this time of year, we see that schedule start to creep up as the supply dwindles heading into the processors. But what's been great is that a lot of people have been able to finish lambs. Those little, these bits of growth that we've been able to get has meant that people have been able to send lambs off to the processors, get that increase in schedule, and make a really good margin. And it is that margin that a lot of people, talk about. The prices in the yards, we've seen heavy males, making $120 to $135. Ewe lambs in the North Island, $75 to $105. The lambs we were talking about at Temuka, they were $125 to $142 for the top crypt orchids, while the medium good mixed sticks were $91 to $115. So you can see that they're certainly not losing out sending lambs to the store sale. And a very wise person, Hawke's Bay farmer called Peter Todd, said to me, if the prices are right, there will always be the lambs. So he's not expecting the volume to drop away anytime soon.
And Suz, farmers wonder why they are price takers and not market makers, right? But it is the nature of our industry.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Suz Bremner, for joining us for AgriHQ. She's a senior sheep and beef analyst, and really enjoy reading Suz's pieces over the rails. You'll see that in the Farmers Weekly every week, and you can catch them online, AgriHQ. Check them out and subscribe to those fantastic livestock insight reports so you know exactly what's going on right at your fingertips.
This is Sarah's Country.